Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tiana, or Tiana, which is with a J, and sorry I haven't posted for a while. It's been a year, let me put it that way. I wanted to start a new series on my channel called The Diary of a Writer or The Writer Diaries, and for the next 30 days, I'm going to post a video every single day talking about not my writing in general of this is where I'm at in the book, or this is, how the plot is going or something. I want it to be like the raw, unfiltered, everyday feelings of writing a novel because, most people that are posting on YouTube, they're for the most part posting like the fun stuff, like the cute vlog where they're making a nice drink and they're writing a whole bunch of words every day. And that's great. Those days happen and they're wonderful. And I love watching writing vlogs, so this is in no way hate against writing vlogs. But I think a lot of the time we're really missing, those days when you don't write or you end up writing only 50 words, or just the difficulty of sometimes how it of actually getting to that word goal. Like maybe you have a word goal of 1,000 words and you wrote it that day, but it felt like you were trying to pluck your own teeth out of your mouth with a pair of pliers. Like that's how awful it felt, because realistically speaking, writing, just like any hobby, just like a job, just like anything in life, is not going to be enjoyable every single day. You're not going to have fun with it. You're going to have days where you don't want to do it. And I go through that. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of document that journey through like a day by day diary of what that's really like. And I kind of got this idea from two different sources. So the first source would actually be from the movie Avatar, the James Cameron one. And I don't know if you guys even remember that movie. I personally love that movie. I'd say it's definitely one of my favorites. But, because they're going out and living with the Navi, like the main character, Jake, he is tasked with recording himself every single day talking about his experience with the Navi, especially because he's the one that's like fully integrating into life with them. And so it's from a scientific perspective of, they need to record what everybody said, how they're feeling, what are their attitudes like, the culture, and it's all information gathering that they can then use later for future projects, for gathering data, for sending more people out into the Navi. So as someone who also has a science background, because I have a Bachelor of Science, it's a very personal way of documenting things, a very raw way. Like he's literally just talking to the camera. There's nothing professional about it, but that data is still so useful. And so I was thinking to myself, well, why can't I do the same thing with my writing, like recording what I'm writing every day, how much I'm writing, how am I feeling, what makes things, better or easier, what makes writing unenjoyable, for example. And my second source of inspiration for this little series is by Zach Pograb. You might have seen his stuff on Instagram. He's the guy that talks all about obsession. He's got everything in black and white, and he's really popular for like a lot of his obsession core writing on Instagram. He started his YouTube channel, and while he's not nearly as active on it like his Instagram, but I liked his style of just like sitting in front of the camera and talking about that day's topic. He's just picking a topic for the day and he sits in front of the camera and talks about it. Nothing too flashy, nothing crazy. And that also appeals to me because, I'm not somebody who has a big fancy studio and with a bunch of equipment and lighting and all this stuff. And like, honestly, as someone just starting on YouTube and then watching people who are making these like really professional style videos, it's kind of demotivating at times. And so seeing people like truly in their like natural element, like real life, kind of like old school YouTube when people could just record videos on a webcam and post it and it would be perfectly fine. I think that I'm just gonna keep it very raw and real and honest over here for the next 30 days and just, you know, tell you about how writing's going, whether it sucks, whether it's great, whether it's, we're having fun or not. And so that's my inspiration for this. And so for the last few months, let me give you guys a recap. So since January, from January to June, I wrote very little. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I was traveling, I was working, I had gotten out of the habit of writing. It was just like sitting down to write every day. It was like, just not happening. I had days where I wrote, absolutely, but I wasn't consistent with it. My whole first half of this year has been all over the place. And so for June, I made myself the absolute most minimal word count goal of 200 words a day. And that was partly because I was at a job that I was doing that was very mentally and physically taxing, that I didn't think I would be able to even do more than that. And then I was also in Greece for the last week of June. And so I wanted to set myself a very easy, realistic goal to get myself back into the habit of writing every single day. And for the most part, like, it was a massive success. I think I had 4 days in total where I didn't write anything. And again, that was like traveling and mostly when I was on my trip to Greece. And then I think I had 1 or 2 days where I just wrote less than 200 words because one day I was extremely busy and the other day I guess I could not write. But let's just say like that's like 6 days out of 30 that I didn't actually meet my goal. That was really, really good for me, considering the fact that for the first 5 months of the year, I barely did anything. And so my goal for the month of July has been to bump that up to 500 words a day because I know I can write 200 words a day. Even 500 words a day is not a lot for me because I know, like during Nano, I can do the 1667 words a day. But I'm really trying to get back into this habit and I don't want to set myself up for failure too early. So I started off at 200. Now the daily word goal is 500. Next month, maybe it'll be 1,000 or let's say 700. Like slowly just building up that momentum and that like writing habit and that writing muscle. So today's July 10th. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have written every single day except one. There was one day so far where I had 0 words and it was just kind of just one of those days where I was having a bad day. I didn't feel like it. I was feeling off and writing was the last thing that I wanted to do. Maybe I could have forced myself to go through with it, but I didn't feel like it. But I can happily say that every other day I have gotten over 500 words now. Sometimes it's just like 530 words, and then other times, I think July 1st, I wrote 1,200 words. Granted, I was flying back from Greece then, so I had a lot of free time at the airport and on the airplane, but it counts. And then I think I had one day that was over 800 words. And so, I realized, and I think I kind of knew all this stuff already, but again, I'm just building up that momentum and getting back into the writing habit is, what if I know for me personally, my barrier to getting things done is not having, like, when I find the momentum to keep it going. For me, it's the start. Like, my barrier to entry is starting something. Once I start something, usually I'm pretty good at keeping going. And so that's been my goal, is to just break that barrier to entry, which is why I started with such a small word count goal, and now I'm moving it up. And, sometimes I, write even when I don't feel like it. I force myself to get it done. Sometimes that means writing literally before I go to bed because I don't want to go to sleep and feel like I failed for the day because I didn't write anything. It's been really nice getting back into writing. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, there's been days where I'm just like, this sucks, and I can't figure out what I'm writing. Like, I mean, I'm editing draft 2 of project t.o.d. So it's a bit of writing and a bit of editing, and it's been going pretty well for the most part. But I've had days where I'm like, I really don't want to do this. Like, this is just not going well. The words aren't coming. I don't know what to write. And one thing that I've noticed, actually, which has kind of been a little bit demotivating, is I use Readsy, and so this is in no way sponsored or anything. It's just I've been using Readsy since February 2022 as my primary writing software, and Readsy just launched premium features on it, and I haven't paid for it. I probably will in the future because they do have some features that I want to use, but I think it'll be more beneficial for me later down the line than right now. But they have this feature where it's like it'll count your most used words and your most used phrases. I've noticed as I've been writing that some of my, let's say, descriptors or some of the phrases, I keep using the same ones, and then I can like search for it in the search bar. Like, let's say it'll be like surprised. I don't know, that's the first word that comes to mind. And then it'll be, if you type in surprise, you can do it in like the find and replace feature, but then it'll show you all the chapters that word comes up in, and it'll be like, oh, it's in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've used the word surprise 50 times so far, and that's happening with like multiple words. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, do I not know how to write? Do I not know any other words? Which I'm using a thesaurus, like I'm trying to keep the writing varied, but when I see it all listed out like that, it's just like, okay, clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to write. I don't know enough words. And maybe it's not noticeable if you like read, if like a reader were to read it. And so I don't know. That's just kind of been like getting me down, but then I have to try and remind myself that I cannot compare my second draft that isn't even finished to a finished book. So I'm just trying to plug away. Each draft is going to get better and better. Like, I'm already so much more satisfied with the second draft than with the first draft. I think I'm making so much more progress. It's so much better than it was. The first time I wrote it, I feel like I'm really growing as a writer. And so I am happy with the work that I'm doing. But again, that doesn't mean that I'm not still going to have days where I just feel like crap.